Having a tire blowout can either be a really, really bad day, or it could just be an inconvenience.
That's right. Are you prepared?
After 25 to 30,000 miles in 2.5 years, we finally blew out a tire like we've been waiting for it or something.
Well, no, I mean, that's been something that's always scared me and I've been a little bit paranoid about, or worried about, I guess I should say, just because of all the horror stories you see online about tire blowouts. So, you know, I felt like it was eventually going to happen no matter how prepared we are, because we are very prepared for this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We have 12 tires running down the road. Our trailer tires have about 25 or 30,000 miles on them. Our truck tires are actually a new set, but they also had about 50,000 miles on them before we got a new set. And you know, just the laws of averages, you're going to have a blowout from hitting something on the road, from running over something, complete no fault of your own. You can have the best tires on the best rims on the best RV.
Yeah.
You can have a blowout. The key to whether it makes for a really bad day or just an inconvenience is all about your preparedness.
Yeah.
Luckily, we were prepared.
That's right.
We're going to have a good checklist for you at the end of this video, so be sure to watch through the whole thing.
And we'll also have it in our blog post.
Yep, and down below in the description. Before we get into the details of our experience, we want to get a couple of things out of the way right off the top. First of all, we take very good care of our tires.
Absolutely.
I keep UV protection on them. We keep them at the proper inflation. I'm always checking the tread wear, checking the date. We have a separate video on tire maintenance, so be sure to check that out.
Right. We don't drive too fast. We try to stay in the right-hand lane as much as we possibly can.
We never ever exceed 65 miles per hour. Generally, we'll go about 60. And honestly, we save quite a bit on gas.
Yeah.
The difference in gas mileage between 60 miles an hour and 65 miles an hour is 8.5 to 9.5. We get a whole mile per gallon more going 60 versus 65, and we're not in a hurry, so why? And your chances of having a blowout or something going wrong only go up as you go faster. Whether it's a blowout or somebody pulling in front of you or anything that can happen, the slower you go, the better. Obviously, within reason, don't be going 45 on the interstate.
It always shocks me when we have other RVers that just whiz on by us like that. And it's like, it makes me cringe because I get scared for people who are driving like that because bad things can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it easy, go slow.
Another topic that we want to chat about real quick before we get into our experience, these guys right here. Let's talk about some tires.
We still have the stock tires that came on our RV originally in December of 2017.
We have been recently talking about, we know it's time to get new tires.
Yeah.
But so far they've been great.
Right. We want to go ahead and address the issue of Westlake tires and China bombs.
Our tires are Westlake's and we've had these suckers since day one.
Yeah. And, you know, watching this issue over the years, you know, again, this is just our opinion and what we've seen. The Westlake E-rated tires kind of started the whole thing. There was a string of blowouts. We would see it online, and somebody dubbed them China bombs because they're made in China. So are a lot of Goodyears and a lot of other brands. But it was the E-rated Westlakes that really got the bad rep. Unfortunately, that name just kind of carried on to the Westlake tire in general.
It did.
So a lot of people just think any Westlake tire is junk and garbage. However, we've not really seen any problems, and we've confirmed with Grand Design that the G-rated tires that they've been putting on have been good.
That's right. Since they switched to the G-rated tires, that they've had an extremely low, I guess, rate of people with issues and things like that with the tires. So that's good to know.
Without jumping into all the controversy and back and forth on what's a China bomb and what is it, our opinion is the G-rated Westlakes are really good, solid tires. We've got over 27,000 miles on ours, and they're coming up on 3 years old, so we planned on changing them this year anyway, just because of those reasons, even though we've had no problems with them.
Because of that bad rep that Westlake's got, many people are choosing to upgrade their tires before they even hit the road for the first time.
Yeah, and you know, that's not something we chose to do, but if you are more comfortable with a brand name like Goodyear, and you want to upgrade yours, that's completely fine.
Right, whatever gives you the most peace of mind. We're just telling you from our experience, but we do want to say that a little birdie did tell us that the Momentums are starting to come off the line now with H-rated tires.
Yeah. Again, we don't know this to be a fact. They might be Cooper tires, we're not really sure. I checked the Grand Design website and it still says G-rated Westlakes, but a lot of times production things start rolling out before
Yep, so keep your eyes
before
open.
they update the website.
Yeah, so keep your eyes open for that.
Yeah. So with trailer tires, it's more about the age of them and the overall condition than it is the tread. The tread is probably going to be the last thing to go. Ours has a date code of 3517. That means these were actually rolled off the line the 35th week of 2017. And that 4-digit number is really what you want to pay attention to. In fact, even if your trailer is barely used, it sits in storage, you take it out, maybe put, a couple thousand miles on it a year, you still want to change them out every 3 to 5 years based on the date code, not when you bought them. And that brings me to another point. If you're shopping for tires, make sure you get the date code of them, particularly if you're buying them online, but make sure you're not buying 2-year-old tires because they're already halfway dead.
We mentioned that we take really good care of our tires, and one thing that we believe is absolutely essential is having a TPMS.
Yeah, that's a day one thing for us. And you can see our flow-through sensors right here for our TST 507 TPMS. It's been great. It's nice, on T24 day when we're preparing to leave, I can check the pressure on all 12 tires. We have sensors on our truck also in one display and make sure everything is within range and set to go. Also, checking them in the morning before you leave isn't enough. If you pick up a nail or something and start a slow leak, that slow leak can turn into low pressure, which can turn into heat, which can turn into a blowout and problems.
And that's what I've read online a lot, where people are like, oh no, we checked the tire pressure right before we left. Everything was great, but they don't run with a TPMS. So like you said, how do you know if something happens? And so that's why we feel it's very important that you have a TPMS when you travel. Yeah,
a good example is our blowout. Had we not heard it and not had a TPMS, who knows how many miles we would have gone with a shredding tire, chunking up rubber,
and how much more damage it would have caused.
And before this trip, we hadn't traveled in about 4 weeks, and we had a good few days of travel ahead of us. So I was extra diligent and checked everything really, really well.
Additionally, every time we stop, whether it be at a rest stop or for lunch or whatever, he's out and he's walking around the whole RV and he's checking everything.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, you could maybe break a hanger or a leaf spring or something, and it might not be immediately obvious to you. Walk around, check your tires. If you have a laser thermometer gun, point it at your hubs, check your brakes, make sure everything looks good. So let's get into our experience.
Yes. Say which one, which tire is it? Of course, this will get on the road.
That was sudden. Nothing on the TPMS. Boom. Tire blowout. So I don't know if we ran over something. I didn't see anything on the road.
I feel sick. We are only 2 hours and 20 minutes into our 2-day trip.
Yeah.
And it's Saturday.
So let's go get out and take a look. Let's see what we got. I immediately knew we had a blowout. Our TPMS immediately went out. All of her years of dread of having a blowout were finally coming to a head.
It's actually happened.
I was just like, oh crap, I gotta get out and change the tire and it's raining.
He was much more calm than I was. I was scared because it was just starting to rain and we were on a very busy road. And like you said, the shoulder wasn't that wide. However, I can say that because we were in the right-hand lane, it was very easy for us to just pull off this side.
All right, let's go take a look.
Wow.
So it tore our skirt a little bit here. That could be replaced.
The GoPro is all wet because it's also starting to rain. Smile! It is a good day though because it blew, we knew it right away, and we got right over, and no accidents or anything like that, so.
It is 11:25, we're gonna see how fast we can do this.
Okay.
Safely. In case we haven't mentioned it before, A lot of RVing has to do with your attitude.
Yeah.
You know, you can look at a blown tire and go, oh God, our day is ruined.
I did that.
Or you can say, let's see how fast we can change this tire and safely.
I was still nervous the entire time, guys, because we are on a very busy highway. Of course, we had the safety stuff on and on the road, but there were a couple times where your leg was sticking way out and it was pretty close to the highway, and it really freaked me out.
I was trying to keep them tucked in. So let's talk a little bit about what you need to do to be prepared for a situation like this and handle it like that. First off, if you don't already know how to change a tire. This isn't a how to change a tire video, but you should know a few things, and a couple of tips are righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That's the first. Loosen your lug nuts while the tire's on the ground and you have that leverage to be able to do it.
Yeah, it looks like we ran over something, doesn't it?
I have.
Also, you should know where your spare is located.
Yeah, be familiar with your spare tire on your RV, not only where it is, but how to get it down or unmounted. Ours is pretty easy. It has basically a winch mechanism where we've actually got this guy right here, where you can put this through the slide and crank it down and lower the tire. It just comes down on a little cable and a T, and you get it down, you pull the T out, and you pull the tire off. I didn't use this, luckily. This connection is actually the exact same size as our lug nut driver, so I just used that. It was much simpler. Looks like the crank for the spare tire is the same as the lug nuts, 3/4 inch.
That's good.
Oh yeah, that's the ticket.
But keep in mind that different RVs have different stowage for the spare tire. So just, again, know where it is.
Yep, look in your manual, be familiar with it, know where it is before you're outside in the rain in the middle of the night on the side of the interstate.
Yeah. One of the most important things that you can have on hand and easily accessible is safety gear. Now, you might have noticed those pretty yellow vests that we had on.
So fun. So fun.
We were able to get to those quickly, along with our emergency roadside kit that has the triangles and flares and different things like that.
Yeah, we've got some LED flares. We did a video on our tools. Be sure to go watch that. It kind of covers all of our tools for projects and everything. We consider that safety gear to be part of our tool set. I have to tell you, I felt a lot more comfortable sitting on the side of the road knowing we had a reflective triangle, we had orange vests, and she was standing watch. We were a lot more visible to all the crazy drivers on I-90.
When he was pretty much underneath the RV, of course, his yellow vest wouldn't have been seen, so I was standing there so that they could see my yellow vest. I was blocking for you.
Yeah, again, and these, things we've mentioned in other videos, I think we've even said, I hope we never need these, but if we do, they're there. And we finally needed them, and it felt great to have them. You're definitely gonna need a lug wrench. You need something to get the lug nuts off. If you're like us and this is the only thing that came with your RV, have something better. A real simple thing that we've carried around but never used is just a simple tire iron. It's got various sizes on each end, and obviously you put it on righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Another thing you're probably going to want to have is something for leverage. If you have high torque on your wheels like we do on our 8 lug wheels, it's 120 foot-pounds, it can be difficult to get off with this, and you might want to have a breaker bar and a socket with the right size, or maybe even just a steel pipe. You can put it right over the end here and get some leverage like that. Try it out ahead of time and know that it works. Of course, I have I have something a little better. Sorry, Daisy. Scared Daisy.
Oh, she's sleeping.
I've got a 1/2 inch impact driver. This thing will do 150 foot-pounds or 330 foot-pounds. And this honestly cut our time in changing that tire.
Yeah. It was because of that, which it was the reason for being done and back on the road in 35 minutes.
Oh yeah, this thing is great. I think the big thing is we were prepared.
Yeah.
I've already got this ready for travel days. I checked our torque, make sure we're good and snug. So all I had to do was take it right out of there.
Yeah.
This also fits the winch for our spare tire, so I just spun that down too. I was power tool outed, man.
That's right.
I had power tools all over this thing.
All right, way to go.
Way to go. Nice jack work, Ricky. Hey, shake and bake, Cal. Woo! Shake and bake.
Of course, use a star pattern when you're tightening your lug nuts down. You're generally going to do it in 2 phases. When you first put it on and you get it snug, you're going to go top, bottom, left, right, this way, that way. Star pattern. Doesn't have to be perfect, just stagger your way around. Also, do it in phases. So get it on there, tighten them down snug, and then once the wheel's on the ground, then you tighten them down to torque. I think a lot of documentation even says to do 3 phases of torque in your star pattern. Also, we've mentioned torque a couple of times. You know, if you don't have a torque wrench and all you have is a lug nut wrench like this, just get it as tight as you can, but at some point soon, get a torque wrench on those lug nuts to make sure they're properly secured at the proper torque. Have a jack available, a bottle jack or something like that. Our truck came with a
Oh my gosh. This thing is heavy.
Our truck came with this 4-ton bottle jack. You want to have a jack that's capable of lifting whatever your axle is rated at, you know, half of it. So we have 7K axles. We need at least 3,500 pounds to be able to lift that up just to kind of keep the numbers good. Also, you're going to probably want to have some blocks of wood so you don't have to jack this thing all the way out to where it might not be long enough. Have some 2x8s or 2x4s. No truck bed is complete without some random pieces of wood in it.
Yeah.
You got to have just chunks of wood laying around for propping this
You
up,
never know when
propping
you're
that
gonna
up.
need it. On that note, don't use your leveling system.
Yeah, your leveling system is not a jack to change tires.
It is not designed for this, and even the manual says that exact thing.
Yeah, technically you shouldn't have your tires off the ground. When you put this thing under there to jack it up, you're putting it under the axle, you're not putting it under the frame. You're not lifting the entire RV off the ground with this thing. Your jacks will. Your jacks have to lift your entire RV, the hanger, the leaf spring, and all of it and get it all off the ground. It's just not safe. Get a good bottle jack. Check your truck. Your truck might already have one like ours did. You know, I didn't have to buy one. This just sits in our truck.
That's pretty cool.
26 minutes, complete change. Woohoo!
You did great, babe.
If we've never mentioned this before, a lot of RVing is attitude.
Yeah.
You know, I blew a tire, deal with it. 22 minutes later, we're gonna be back on the road.
Chad's attitude is always better than my attitude. I thought I was gonna throw up, and I didn't have to do any of the work. I wouldn't have been so bothered if we weren't on a really busy Massachusetts highway. So.
You are also going to need a proper air compressor for your tires. Now, you've probably seen several videos where we have shown our Vi-Air. You notice it's pretty beat up. This thing has seen a lot of use over the years.
And again, you get this out every T24 when you're preparing to leave on travel day.
This is another thing you want to have day one with your RV, not just for a blowout, but just for maintenance. You know, as you drive around the country and you go from higher altitudes to lower altitudes, temperatures change, go low and high, your tire pressure is going to change. Technically, cold PSI means just that, before the sun comes up. You want to make sure that you check your tire pressure. I usually do it the day before, because if there's a problem, I want to know about it the day before we travel. But get one that's rated for whatever your tires need. Our tires need 110 PSI. The Vi-Air is great. Don't pay any attention to their new naming standard where they're saying like, oh, this is for a Class A motorhome and this is for a trailer. Look at the duty cycle rating and the PSI rating. The duty cycle is how long it can run before it needs to shut off and cool down. This particular one is an old model, but it equates to the 450, which is, I think it'll go to 150 PSI, and it has a 100% duty cycle. Another thing that we carry is a patch kit. Now this is kind of optional, but you know, if we get a nail in our tire, I want to be able to just fix that really quickly without having to pull the tire off. If you've never used a patch kit, they're not that difficult. you want to make sure you get to a tire shop and have it properly patched and inspected. You know, the patch might not be in a good spot and you might have to have the tire replaced.
And also there might be some other miscellaneous tools that you might need depending on if there was any damage done by a tire blowout. Hopefully it doesn't happen. We had a little bit, as you could see, but it wasn't anything that we needed to fix to be able to get back on the road. Oh, yeah, so that's all bent up. That's broken. That's toast.
So we can't really speak to exactly what tools you might need for that situation. Just have some on hand. Definitely have duct tape.
Yeah.
You can fix a lot of things with duct tape.
I also want to say, all of this stuff that he's talking about, this is do it yourself, change the tire yourself. If you're not comfortable with any of that, have a game plan set ahead of time. What are you going to do if something like this happens? So some sort of roadside assistance plan that you already have, be it AAA or what is it? Does Good Sam have one?
I think Good Sam has one.
But
we have AAA. And we have the whatever maximum plan they have for both the truck, the RV, and the motorcycle with like, I don't know, 500-mile towing or something. But
right. So just know what you will do in an event like this.
We made it to our harvest host after a long travel day. I don't see the goats either. So I don't know where these goats are.
The pictures had goats.
They're here somewhere.
Yeah.
But who is here is another fellow Grand Design couple with their solitude.
Since we had a big boom in our RV today, you know, I like to say boom. This wasn't a good boom.
It's not
but
a
I
good boom.
have a good boom here. Boom sauce.
Bam, boom. You guys know how he likes to say that. That's it. This is an unexpected video because unexpected things happen when you're in an RV and you gotta roll with it. See what I did there? Gotta roll with it. And we rolled with it and everything's okay. And just be prepared, guys.
Yep.
And be prepared to like this video and be prepared to subscribe.
Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Check out our website, changinglanesrv.com.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one of them. Oh, he doesn't quite know what to think of that little dog.
Oh.
Daisy's like, what is that?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. You need to hand me something?
Huh?
You want to hand me that tire? You know I can pick that up.
I'll just hand it to you real quick.
Yeah. And because of the bad rep that they got, which we think is E-rated tires, it just went blank.
Okay.
Like,
Are we low energy?
What do you
We're
think?
freaking tires.
I mean, okay.
I think that's all we need.
Yep. Okay.
Oh.
Can we get up now? I don't even know if we can get it. No, you go ahead. You worry about yourself.
No, I'm just helping you. I'm
Thanks.
down here.
Okay,
I'm
here.
still stable.
You need help?
No, I need a minute to let the blood go
I can't.
before I stand up.
I know, I have to walk like this now. Oh. Yes. Shake it out. Shake it. Shake it. Like a Polaroid picture.
Oh.
I know, man. Sock's getting old.